So what does it mean to have a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism? Essentially, what we are trying to do is use what we have either stored on our body or what we've consumed, and we want to be able to break those substrates down and use them to make energy. And the more we're able to do this, essentially the faster our metabolism is going to be. And in order to do this, we require certain enzymes. If you imagine the more enzymes that you have that are involved in this breakdown process of fuels, the faster your metabolism is essentially going to be. So anything that's going to essentially tell the body to upregulate the production of these enzymes is going to essentially speed up your metabolism and lead to the breakdown of more fuel substrates. So probably the biggest stimulator of the upregulation of certain enzymes that are involved in the breakdown of fuels are hormones. Specifically, thyroid hormone is a big one, and growth hormone. These two are really important for making sure that we are upregulating all the enzymes that we need in order to break down fuel substrates. It might be glucose or it might be fat. Now, this might be fat on our body, so this is very important. And this is why if we are, for example, just calorie counting, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be actually able to burn fat, despite the fact that we might be eating very little calories. Because, for example, if your thyroid hormones aren't being produced properly, like you have an autoimmune condition and your thyroid isn't pumping out the thyroid hormones, then you're going to have a very, very hard time actually stimulating lipolysis. So this is where it's more than just calorie counting to lose weight. So this is another reason why an appropriate diet that lowers inflammation in the body and that lowers the chance of cross-reactivity and autoimmunity from occurring is going to actually end up being really good for your metabolism, because it will heal things like, for example, thyroid conditions that are very, very common. But another reason this is important too is because if we are improving our metabolic health, there are certain hormones that are going to be triggered to be released that help to increase this breakdown of fuel substrates like fat. Is when we have our insulin levels nice and low. When we are in a fasted state, for example, we're going to be able to release more growth hormone. This is going to be released when there is low levels of glucose circulating around, and other things like glucagon, which are going to stimulate some of the stress hormones, but the ones that are going to help to metabolize a lot of the fuel substrates on our body. One last thing on this topic that I think is important to note. Another thing that can really increase the production of enzymes and things that are going to help us to break down more fuel substrates is the exposure to cold. Now, we all know that when we jump into the cold, we stimulate the production of these proteins called UPC proteins, and they help in the mitochondria to just basically break down more fuel substrates. But another thing that can help to do this and stimulate the production of these proteins is consumption of very saturated fat. Specifically, stearic acid has been shown to do this. So this is another important advantage of eating a species-appropriate diet that is high in the beautiful saturated fat, because it helps us to upregulate the proteins in the mitochondria that are going to help us break down more fuel substrates and essentially just burn off energy as heat. Very cool. Very, very cool.